The restaurant was the kind of place Lauren couldn't normally afford: white tablecloths, candles and crystal holders, waiters who moved like choreographed dancers. But tonight was special. A celebration. She'd finally closed the Anderson account. 3 months of grueling work that had tested every ounce of her professional skill. She deserved this. Lauren sat alone at a corner table, savoring a glass of wine that probably cost more than her weekly grocery budget. The room hummed with quiet conversations, the subtle clink of silverware, the occasional laugh. It was elegant, peaceful, safe, until it wasn't. The front door burst open with a violence that shattered the restaurant's carefully cultivated ambience. 3 men stormed in ski masks, dark clothes, one holding a gun that looked far too real. "Nobody move!" The voice was young, shaking with adrenaline, and probably something chemical. "Hands where we can see them. Now." The restaurant froze. Lauren's wine glass slipped from her fingers, hitting the table with a sharp crack. Red liquid spread across the white cloth like blood. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This couldn't be happening. Not here. Not in a place like this. "I said hands up." The gunman swung his weapon toward an older couple who'd been slow to react. "You think I'm joking? You think this is a game?" The woman whimpered. Her husband raised his hands, his face pale. Lauren's hands shot up automatically, her breath coming in short, panicked bursts. She'd read about situations like this: active shooter protocols, hostage survival tactics. But all that knowledge evaporated in the face of actual terror. Phones on the tables, watches, jewelry. Everything valuable, right fucking now. The second gunman moved through the room with a duffel bag, snatching items from trembling hands. The third man, the largest of the three, positioned himself by the kitchen door. He held a baseball bat, not a gun, but the casual way he tapped it against his palm suggested he knew how to use it. Lauren's mind raced. Should she give them her phone? It had work files on it, confidential information. But did that matter when a gun was involved? Her hands were still raised, but they were shaking so badly, she could barely control them. "Hey you." The first gunman pointed at the bartender. "Open the register. And if you hit any panic buttons, someone's going to get hurt. You understand?" The bartender nodded frantically, moving toward the cash register with jerky, terrified movements. Lauren's eyes darted around the room. 20, maybe 25 people, all frozen, all terrified. The couple nearest the door looked like they might be in their 70s. A young family had a child who couldn't be more than 5, her face buried in her mother's shoulder. This was wrong. So wrong. Places like this didn't get robbed. This was supposed to be the safe part of the city, the expensive part, you. Lauren's blood turned to ice. The gunman was looking at her. "Yeah, you. Pretty lady in the corner. What's in the purse?" Lauren's mouth went dry. "Nothing, just my wallet. Bring it here. I said bring it here." His voice pitched higher, more unstable. Lauren's legs barely supported her as she stood. The room spun slightly. Or maybe that was just her vision swimming with fear. She picked up her purse with trembling hands and took a step forward. That's when she heard the voice. "Sit down." It came from her left. Calm, quiet, carrying absolute authority. Lauren turned and saw him for the first time. He sat 2 tables away, alone, perfectly still. A man in an impeccably tailored suit, dark hair precisely styled, hands resting calmly on the table. He hadn't raised them like everyone else. He was looking directly at Lauren. "I said sit down," he repeated, his voice no louder than if he were ordering wine. Lauren didn't understand why, but her body obeyed before her mind could process the command. She sank back into her chair, purse clutched to her chest. The gunman's attention shifted from Lauren to the man in the suit. "The fuck did you just say to me?" The man didn't respond immediately. He simply lifted his wine glass and took a small sip, as if armed robbery was merely a minor interruption to his evening. Then he set the glass down with precise, deliberate care. "I said," he spoke with the same quiet authority. "She sits down. You leave her alone." The restaurant held its breath. The gunman's hand tightened on his weapon. "You think you're tough? You think..." "Marco, One word. Just a name. But the effect was instantaneous. The gunman froze. His hand, which had been raising the weapon, stopped mid-motion. That's your name, isn't it? The man in the suit tilted his head slightly. Marco Delgado. Your brother works at the docks. Your mother lives in Queens, on 47th Street. The blue house with the garden. The color drained from Marco's face behind the ski mask. How the fuck? Does your mother know you're here right now? The man's voice remained perfectly calm, almost conversational. Does she know you're pointing a gun at innocent people? Or does she still think you're at your cousin's house? Shut up! Marco's voice cracked. Shut the fuck up! But the man in the suit wasn't done. He turned his attention to the second gunman. And you? Vincent Torres. Your daughter just started kindergarten, didn't she? St. Mary's. Pretty girl. Smart. She has your eyes. The second gunman stumbled backward, nearly dropping his duffel bag. What is this? This, the man said, finally standing, is the moment where you make a choice. He moved with fluid grace, buttoning his suit jacket, as if preparing for a business meeting rather than confronting armed criminals. Every movement was controlled, precise, radiating a kind of power that didn't need to be loud. Lauren watched, frozen, as he walked calmly toward the three men who had burst in with such violent confidence just moments ago. You can leave now, he said simply. Walk out that door. Go home. Hug your families. Wake up tomorrow like this never happened. Or? Marco's voice was barely audible. The man in the suit stopped a few feet away and smiled. But there was nothing warm in that smile, nothing human. Or I make a phone call, he said quietly. And by morning, none of you will have families to go home to. The silence that followed was absolute. Lauren could hear her own heartbeat, could hear the barely suppressed whimper from the child across the room, could hear the traffic outside like it belonged to a different world entirely. The man in the suit waited, patient as death. Marco's gun hand was shaking now. You ... You can single quotes double quotes. I can, the man corrected gently, and I will. The only question is whether you're stupid enough to make me. The three gunmen looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Fear, disbelief, and the dawning realization that they'd made a catastrophic mistake. We're leaving, Marco said finally, his voice hollow. Smart choice. The three men backed toward the door, moving like men who'd just seen their own deaths. They didn't run. Didn't grab anything. Just ... left. The door closed behind them with a gentle click that seemed obscenely quiet after such violence. For a moment, nobody moved. The restaurant remained frozen, as if still trapped in that moment of terror. Then the man in the suit turned to the bartender. Call the police. Tell them it's been handled. But file a report anyway. He said it with such casual authority that the bartender immediately reached for the phone. The man's eyes swept the room, taking in each terrified face. Everyone's safe. The men are gone. They won't be back. How could he possibly know that? Lauren wondered. How could he be so certain? And then his eyes found hers. He walked back to his table, moving past Lauren's corner spot. As he did, he paused. Are you all right? He asked, and for the first time his voice held something other than cold authority. Something almost ... gentle. Lauren nodded, not trusting her voice. Good. He reached into his jacket. Several people flinched and pulled out a business card. He placed it on her table. In case you need anything. Tonight was ... unfortunate. Lauren looked down at the card. It was simple, expensive. Just a name and a phone number. Sebastian Volkov. When she looked up, he was already walking away, heading toward the exit like a man who had somewhere more important to be. Wait, Lauren heard herself call out. He paused, turning slightly. Who are you? Sebastian Volkov smiled, a real smile this time, though no less dangerous for its warmth. Just someone who doesn't like his dinner interrupted, he said. And then he was gone, disappearing into the night as smoothly as he dismantled the robbery. Lauren sat in her chair, hands still trembling, staring at the business card on her wine-stained tablecloth. Around her, the restaurant slowly came back to life. People starting to talk, to move, to process what had just happened. But Lauren couldn't stop thinking about the man who'd ended a violent robbery without raising his voice. Without even standing up until he'd chosen to. Who was Sebastian Volkov? And why did she have the feeling that her life had just become infinitely more complicated? The police arrived 15 minutes later, 2 officers who took statements with practiced efficiency. Yes, 3 men. Yes, armed. No, nothing was taken. Yes, they just left. Lauren gave her statement in a daze, her mind still replaying those moments. The casual way Sebastian had said their names. The absolute certainty in his voice. The way those dangerous men had retreated like scolded children. And you're sure they didn't take anything from you, ma'am? The officer looked at her with concern. No trauma we should document. No, I'm fine. She wasn't fine. She was the opposite of fine. But how could she explain what she'd witnessed? The officer handed her a card. Victim Services. If you need someone to talk to. Lauren nodded mechanically and took the card, adding it to the one already in her purse. 2 cards in one night. A record. After the police left, the restaurant manager, a thin man with worried eyes, approached each table personally. Your meals tonight are complimentary, of course. And we're arranging car services for anyone who needs transportation home. Most people left immediately. The couple with the small child practically ran for the door. The elderly couple moved slowly, still shaken. But Lauren found herself unable to move. She sat at her table, the wine glass still tipped over, the red stains spreading across white line like evidence of something more than spilled Merlot. Miss, the manager appeared at her elbow. Your car is ready whenever you are. Actually, Lauren heard herself say, I think I'll stay a moment. The manager looked surprised but nodded. Of course. Take all the time you need. When he left, Lauren pulled out Sebastian's business card and stared at it. Just a name and a number. No company. No title. Nothing to explain who he was or why he had that kind of power. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. Saw the news about a robbery near you. You okay? News? Already? Lauren opened her news app and felt her stomach drop. The robbery was already trending. Armed robbery attempt at Castellano's restaurant, suspects flee. She scrolled through the article. It mentioned the 3 men, the weapons, the fact that nothing was taken. But it said nothing about Sebastian Volkov. Nothing about the man who'd ended it all with just words. How was that possible? Lauren looked at the card again. Before she could talk herself out of it, she pulled out her phone and dialed the number. It rang once, twice. Lauren. Her breath caught. He'd answered immediately. And he'd known it was her. How did you? I gave you my private line. Only 3 people have this number. You're the 4th. His voice was as calm as it had been in the restaurant. Are you all right? I don't know, she admitted. I don't understand what happened tonight. You were almost robbed. I prevented it. But how? How did you know their names? Their families? How did you make them leave with just words? Silence on the other end. Lauren could hear background noise, a car maybe. Was he driving? Where are you right now? Sebastian asked instead of answering. Still at the restaurant. Alone? Yes. Another pause. Then, stay there. I'm coming back. What? No, I didn't call to... Lauren. Something in the way he said her name made her stop talking. Those men left, but fear makes people stupid. They might realize who I am and decide to take revenge in other ways. Until I'm certain you're not a target, you're not safe alone. A target? Why would I be a target? Because you witnessed me stopping them. Because you're connected to me now, whether you want to be or not. Lauren felt cold despite the restaurant's comfortable temperature. Connected to you? I don't even know you. No. Sebastian agreed. But they don't know that. All they know is I protected you specifically. That makes you interesting to people who might want to hurt me. This is insane. This is reality, he corrected. My reality. And now, unfortunately, yours. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Don't leave until I arrive. He hung up before she could protest. Lauren stared at her phone, mind reeling. 20 minutes ago, she'd been celebrating closing a deal. Now she was apparently connected to a man who could end armed robberies with conversation and was worried about her becoming a target. What the hell was her life right now? She looked around the nearly empty restaurant. The manager was speaking quietly to the remaining staff. A few employees were cleaning up, their movements mechanical, still processing trauma. And Lauren sat in her corner, holding a business card that felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. True to his word, Sebastian appeared exactly 10 minutes later. He walked through the door like he owned the place, which, given what she'd seen, maybe he did. The manager immediately approached him, but Sebastian waved him off with a gesture that was somehow both dismissive and respectful. He came straight to Lauren's table. "Ready?" he asked. "For what?" "I'm taking you home. I can get a cab." "You could," Sebastian agreed. "But you won't. Come on." Lauren wanted to argue, wanted to assert her independence and tell this stranger, this dangerous stranger, that she didn't need his help. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw something that stopped the words in her throat. Genuine concern. Not the cold calculation from earlier. Not the predatory certainty. Just ... worry. For her. "Okay," she heard herself say. Sebastian nodded and offered his hand. Lauren took it, letting him help her stand. His grip was firm, warm, steady. Safe. How could someone so obviously dangerous feel safe? As they walked toward the exit, Lauren glanced back at the restaurant, at the scene of something that had changed her life in ways she couldn't yet comprehend. If you're listening to this story, the narration seems to whisper through the elegant space, and you want to know what happens when power doesn't need to raise its voice, when protection comes from the most dangerous source. Subscribe to the channel, because Lauren and Sebastian's story is just beginning, and every moment between them lives on the razor's edge between safety and danger. Lauren stepped into the night, her hand still held by a man who'd just proven he could stop violence with nothing but words. And somewhere in the darkness, those three men were realizing they'd made an enemy they could never afford to have. Sebastian's car was exactly what Lauren expected. Sleek, black, expensive enough that she was afraid to touch anything. A driver, silent, professional, somehow both present and invisible, held the door open. "Where do you live?" Sebastian asked as they settled into the back seat. Lauren rattled off her address in Brooklyn. The driver nodded and pulled into traffic without a word. "You don't have to do this," Lauren said after a moment of silence. "I really can handle getting home myself." "I'm sure you can," Sebastian replied. "But I'd prefer to make sure you arrive safely." "Why?" He turned to look at her, and in the dim interior light, his features seemed softer somehow, less dangerous, almost human. "Because I involved you in something that wasn't your fault," he said simply. "That creates responsibility." "You didn't involve me. You saved me." "Did I?" Something flickered across his face. "Or did I just make you visible to people who now see you as leverage?" Lauren felt her stomach drop. "Leverage against you?" "Possibly. Who are you?" The question burst out with more force than she intended. "And don't say just someone who doesn't like his dinner," interrupted. "Those men were terrified of you. Actually terrified. You knew everything about them, their names, their families, where they lived. That's not normal." Sebastian was quiet for a long moment. The car glided through the streets, the city lights casting moving shadows across his face. "No," he said finally. "It's not normal." So I'm someone who deals in information and influence. Someone who built a network that knows things other people don't. Someone who ... double quotes, he paused, choosing words carefully. Maintains order in situations where traditional authority doesn't reach. Lauren processed that. "You're saying you're a criminal." "I'm saying I operate in spaces between laws." "That's a very pretty way of saying criminal." Sebastian almost smiled. "You're not wrong." The honesty caught her off guard. She'd expected evasion, denial, carefully constructed lies. Not ... truth. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. "Because you deserve to know what you're dealing with. And because lying to you feels ... double quotes, he hesitated. Wrong. Wrong how?" "Just wrong." He looked out the window. "I've lied to a lot of people, Lauren. Lying is currency in my world. But looking at you, thinking about lying, I don't want to. Something in his voice made Lauren's chest tighten. This man, this dangerous, powerful man who'd ended an armed robbery without breaking a sweat sounded almost vulnerable. Earlier, she said quietly, you called those men by name. How did you know? I know everyone who operates in this city. It's my job to know. And their families? Insurance, Sebastian said simply. You can threaten a man with violence against himself and he might call your bluff. Threaten what he loves and he'll always back down. The casual way he said it chilled Lauren. That's cruel. That's survival. You would really hurt their families? Sebastian turned to look at her directly. No, I wouldn't. But they don't know that. The threat is enough. And if it wasn't? If they'd called your bluff? His expression hardened. Then I'd have made a phone call and people I trust would have convinced them to leave the city. No violence, no harm. Just consequences. Lauren studied him, trying to reconcile the elegant man beside her with the casual discussion of threats and leverage. Who are you really, Sebastian Volkov? You really want to know? Yes. He was silent for several blocks. The car turned onto her street, familiar brownstones sliding past the window. I run an organization that controls significant portions of this city's underground economy, he said finally. Imports, exports, certain financial services that exist outside traditional banking. People call me a lot of things. Boss. Kingpin. Criminal. He looked at her. The Mafia boss of the Eastern Seaboard, if you read the right newspapers. Lauren's breath caught. She'd suspected, of course, but hearing him confirm it. And you're just telling me this? You asked. People must not usually ask. They don't, Sebastian agreed. They either already know and fear me or they don't know, and I prefer to keep it that way. You're the first person in years who's asked me directly who I am and actually wanted an honest answer. The car pulled up in front of Lauren's building. The driver put it in park but didn't get out, giving them privacy. I should go, Lauren said, but she didn't move. You should, Sebastian agreed, but he didn't look away. Why did you really protect me tonight? Lauren asked. It wasn't just about stopping a robbery. You could have called the police, could have done 100 things that didn't involve threatening 3 armed men. Why me? Sebastian was quiet for so long that Lauren thought he wouldn't answer. Then, when I walked into that restaurant tonight, I was tired. Tired of meetings, of negotiations, of being the person everyone fears. I wanted one meal where I could just be. No Sebastian Volkov, crime boss. Just Sebastian, eating dinner. And then the robbery. And then the robbery, he confirmed. And I saw everyone's fear. Saw grown men shake. Saw that child cry. Saw the elderly couple expecting to die. And I was angry. Not at the gunmen, they're just desperate and stupid. But at the situation. At violence disrupting peace. You stopped it because you were annoyed? I stopped it because it was wrong, Sebastian said quietly. And then I saw you. Lauren's heart skipped. What about me? You were terrified, shaking. But when that man pointed at you, you stood up. Your legs barely held you, but you stood. That kind of courage in the face of real fear. It's rare. I wasn't brave. I was scared out of my mind. Bravery isn't the absence of fear, Lauren. It's doing what needs to be done despite the fear. You were brave. He looked at her directly. And something in me couldn't stand the thought of that bravery being rewarded with violence. Lauren didn't know what to say. The intensity in his gaze, the sincerity in his voice, it didn't match her image of what a mafia boss should be. Thank you, she said finally. For protecting me. Don't thank me yet, Sebastian replied. This isn't over. What do you mean? Those men now know I intervened personally. Word will spread. People will wonder why. And some of those people double quotes he trailed off. Will come after me to get to you. Lauren finished. Possibly. Fear spiked through her. So what do I do? Sebastian reached into his jacket and pulled out a phone. Different from his personal one, this looked newer, simpler. Take this, he said, pressing it into her hand. It's programmed with one number, mine, If anything feels wrong, anything at all, you call it day or night. I don't care if you think you're overreacting. You call. Lauren looked at the phone, then back at him. You're serious. Completely. Sebastian, I can't just... Yes, you can. And you will. His voice held that same quiet authority from the restaurant. Because I won't be responsible for harm coming to you when I could have prevented it. This is crazy. This is my world, he corrected. And I just pulled you into it. That makes you my responsibility now. Lauren wanted to argue. Wanted to hand the phone back and walk away from this dangerous, complicated man. But when she looked into his eyes, she saw something that stopped her. He meant it. Every word. This wasn't manipulation or control. It was genuine concern wrapped in dangerous capability. Okay, she said quietly, slipping the phone into her purse. But I want one thing in return. Sebastian raised an eyebrow. What? Honesty. If you're going to ... watch over me or whatever this is, I need you to be honest. No pretty lies. No manipulation. Just truth. Even if the truth is ugly? Especially then. Something like respect crossed Sebastian's face. Deal. Lauren opened the car door but paused before getting out. Sebastian. Yes? Are you a good person? He didn't answer immediately. When he did, his voice was soft, almost sad. No, he said. I'm not. I've done things that would horrify you. Made choices that keep me awake at night. Hurt people who probably didn't deserve it. He looked directly at her. But I try to have rules, lines I won't cross. And one of those lines is harming innocence. Is that why you protected me? Because I'm innocent? I protected you because the alternative was unacceptable, he said simply. Lauren nodded slowly, processing. Then she stepped out of the car. Before closing the door, she leaned back in. For what it's worth, I think you might be a better person than you believe. Sebastian's expression was unreadable. Good night, Lauren. Good night. She closed the door and watched the car pull away, disappearing into the night traffic. In her purse, 2 phones now. Her regular one, and the one that connected directly to the most dangerous man in the city. Lauren walked to her building, her mind a whirlwind of confusion, fear, and something else she couldn't quite name. As she unlocked her door, she thought about power that didn't need to shout. About protection that came from dangerous places. About a man who'd stopped violence without raising his voice, and who somehow made her feel safer than she'd ever felt. It was insane. It was dangerous. And she already knew she'd probably call that number. Lauren didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment. Sebastian's calm voice. The way those men had fled. The business card. The phone. Around 3 a.m., she gave up and made tea, sitting at her small kitchen table in the darkness. The phone Sebastian had given her sat next to her regular phone, silent, heavy with implication. She shouldn't keep it. Should drop it in a donation box somewhere and forget this whole night happened. Go back to her normal life of spreadsheets and client meetings and Friday happy hours with coworkers. But she didn't want to forget. That was the disturbing part. Lauren knew she should be terrified, should be running from anything connected to organized crime. Instead, she found herself wondering about Sebastian Volkov. What made someone become a mafia boss? What kind of life led to having that much power, that much knowledge, that much control? And why did he look so tired when he thought she wasn't watching? Her regular phone buzzed, making her jump. A text from an unknown number, still awake? Lauren's heart raced. How did he... Another text. I can see your kitchen light from here. She stood and moved to the window, looking out at the street below. A car was parked across the street, dark and sleek. Sebastian's car. Lauren grabbed the phone he'd given her and called the only number programmed into it. He answered immediately. Your light's been on for 2 hours. Are you watching my apartment? I'm hiking over it, he corrected. There's a difference. Sebastian, you can't just... Yes, I can. And before you argue, consider that I'm right here, which means anyone else who might be interested in you will see me and think twice. Lauren looked down at the car. She couldn't see him through the tinted windows, but knowing he was there sent a confusing mix of emotions through her. How long are you planning to sit there? Until sunrise. Then my people take over. Your people? I have a team that handles security. They're professional. Discreet. You'll never notice them. Sebastian, I can't have... Lauren. His voice was gentle but firm. I know this is overwhelming. I know it's intrusive. But until I'm certain those men aren't a threat, this is how it has to be. Lauren was quiet for a moment. Have you been doing this all night? Just sitting there? Yes. That's necessary. I was going to say insane, Lauren said. Don't you have... I don't know. Mafia boss things to do? She heard him chuckle, a warm sound that shouldn't have come from someone so dangerous. My Mafia boss things can wait. Nothing's more important than making sure you're safe. Why? The question burst out before she could stop it. Why am I so important? You don't know me. I'm just someone who was at the wrong restaurant at the wrong time. Silence on the other end. Then, come down. What? Come down to the car. If we're going to have this conversation, we should have it properly. Lauren looked down at her pajamas, tank top and shorts, completely inappropriate for meeting a crime boss in the middle of the night. I'm not dressed. I don't care. Come down. Something in his voice pulled at her. Before she could second-guess herself, Lauren grabbed a hoodie and shoved her feet into sneakers. The building was quiet as she descended. Lauren slipped out the front door and crossed the empty street. The car's back door opened as she approached. Get in, Sebastian said from inside. Lauren climbed in and found him in the same immaculate suit from earlier, though his tie was loosened now, and he looked tired in the dim interior light. Couldn't sleep? She asked. Rarely can. He gestured to the building. But apparently neither can you. I keep thinking about tonight, about what you said. About being a target now. That's smart. Fear keeps you alert. Is that how you live? Always alert, always watching. Sebastian was quiet for a moment. Yes, it's exhausting if you want the truth. Then why do it? Do what? This life? He looked out at the empty street. I didn't choose it. I was born into it. My father ran this organization before me. I was groomed from birth to take over. You couldn't leave? Where would I go? Sebastian's smile was sad. This is all I know. These skills, this knowledge, this power, it's worthless in the normal world. I can't put crime boss on a resume. Lauren found herself feeling sympathy for him, which was absurd. Do you want to leave? Sometimes, he admitted. On nights like this, sitting outside someone's apartment to keep them safe. I wonder what my life would be like if I were ... normal. If I could just be Sebastian, not Sebastian Volkov. What would you do? He looked at her, really looked, and Lauren saw vulnerability in his expression. I have no idea. Isn't that pathetic? I'm 34 years old and I couldn't tell you what I'd do with a normal life because I can't even imagine what that would look like. It's not pathetic, Lauren said softly. It's honest. They sat in silence for a moment. Outside, the city slept. Inside the car, two people from completely different worlds tried to understand each other. Can I ask you something? Lauren said. Anything. When you stopped those men tonight, you were so calm, like it was nothing. But just now, talking about wanting a normal life, you seemed ... She searched for the word. Vulnerable. Which one is real? Both, Sebastian said simply. I can be dangerous and tired at the same time. Powerful and lonely. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Are you lonely? His eyes met hers. Profoundly. The honesty in that word hit Lauren like a physical thing. She'd expected deflection, expected him to rebuild his walls. Instead, he just opened a door into something real and raw. I'm sorry, she said. Don't be. It's a consequence of my choices. Can't complain about the isolation when I'm the one who built the walls. Lauren found herself moving closer without quite meaning to. You know what I think? What? I think you built those walls to protect people from you. Not to protect yourself from them. Sebastian went very still. What makes you say that? The way you talk about your life. Like, it's something dangerous that might contaminate normal people. The way you protected me tonight, not just from those men, but from knowing too much about you. You're trying to keep me safe even now, sitting out here all night instead of just telling me to lock my doors and deal with it. Lauren held his gaze. You're not a monster, Sebastian. You're just a man who's convinced himself he has to be one. Something flickered across his face, surprise, maybe, or recognition of a truth he'd buried. You don't know me, Lauren. Maybe not, but I'm a good judge of character. It's literally part of my job reading people, understanding motivations. And when I look at you, I see someone who's spent so long playing a role that he's forgotten there's a person underneath. And what if the role is the person? Sebastian challenged. What if there's nothing underneath but more darkness? Then why are you sitting outside my apartment at 3 a.m? Why give me a direct line to you? Why care if I'm safe? Lauren leaned forward slightly. Monsters don't do that, Sebastian. Monsters don't lose sleep worrying about strangers. Tell me something, Lauren said, breaking the charged silence. What happens tomorrow? Do you just keep watching my apartment forever? Until the threat passes. And how long will that take? Sebastian's expression darkened. I made some calls while sitting here, those 3 men from the restaurant. They're small time. Work for a mid-level dealer named Russo. He's been trying to expand his territory, getting ambitious. Meaning? Meaning he might see tonight as an opportunity. Test if I'm willing to go to war over one civilian. See if my reputation still holds weight. Lauren felt cold. So I really am in danger. Potentially. Which is why I'm not taking chances. Sebastian pulled out his phone and showed her a photo. This is Marcus, head of my security team. He'll be watching your building during the day. If you need anything, you talk to him. The photo showed a serious-looking man in his 40s, military bearing, kind eyes. Sebastian, I have a job, a life. I can't just... I know, he said gently. And I'm not asking you to stop living. Just to be careful. Marcus and his team will be invisible unless you need them. Your life continues as normal. Except I'll know I'm being watched. For your protection. It's still invasive. It is, Sebastian agreed. And I hate that it's necessary. But I won't apologize for keeping you safe. Lauren sighed. She understood his reasoning, even appreciated it in a twisted way. But the idea of being constantly monitored... How long do you think this will last? A few days. Maybe a week. Long enough for word to spread that you're under my protection. Once that's clear, the threat diminishes significantly. And if it doesn't, Sebastian's jaw tightened. Then I handle it more... permanently. Lauren didn't ask what that meant. She wasn't sure she wanted to know. I should go back inside, she said finally. You should go home. Get some sleep. I'll sleep when you're safe. Sebastian. Lauren. He turned to face her fully. I know this is a lot. I know I'm disrupting your life in ways you never asked for. But I can't. He paused, something raw flickering across his face. I can't have your safety on my conscience. I've failed to protect people before. Important people. I won't do it again. The vulnerability in his voice caught her off guard. Who did you fail? My sister, he said quietly. 8 years ago. She got caught in the crossfire of a territorial dispute. I was so focused on the bigger picture that I didn't see the threat to her until it was too late. Sebastian, I'm so sorry. She was 23, graduating from medical school. Had her whole life ahead of her. His hands clenched. And she died because I wasn't paying attention. Lauren reached out without thinking and placed her hand over his. That wasn't your fault, wasn't it? I'm the one who chose this life. I'm the one who made enemies. She paid the price for my choices. You can't control everything. I should have controlled that, Sebastian said fiercely. Then softer. I should have protected her. Lauren understood now. The obsessive need to keep her safe, the sitting outside her apartment all night, the extensive security measures. This wasn't just about her. It was about redemption for someone he couldn't save. I'm not your sister, she said gently. I know. But you're trying to save me the way you couldn't save her. Sebastian met her eyes. Yes, the honesty of it was almost painful. Lauren squeezed his hand. Then let me help you do that, she said, Not by hiding or changing my life completely, but by being smart. By trusting your security team. By staying alert. We work together on this. You're asking me to trust you with your own safety. I'm asking you to trust that I'm not helpless. That I can be part of the solution instead of just the problem you need to solve. Something shifted in Sebastian's expression. You're remarkable, you know that? I'm practical, Lauren corrected. And I'm tired of being treated like I'm made of glass. I'm scared, yes. But I'm also strong enough to handle this if you give me the tools to do it. Sebastian was quiet for a long moment. Then, okay, we work together. But you follow Marcus's instructions. And you keep that phone with you always. Deal? They shook hands. A formal gesture that felt absurdly normal given the circumstances. But when their hands touched, neither pulled away immediately. You should really go get some sleep, Lauren said, though she didn't move. You should go back inside, Sebastian replied, though he didn't release her hand. They sat like that, hands joined, both aware they should break the contact but neither willing to be the first. This is crazy, Lauren whispered. Completely insane, Sebastian agreed. I met you 6 hours ago. 7. Technically. I shouldn't trust you. You definitely shouldn't. But I do. Sebastian's thumb traced small circles on her palm. That's probably a mistake. Most of my best decisions start as mistakes. He smiled, a real smile, warm and genuine. Is that your philosophy? It's gotten me this far. They fell into silence again. But it was comfortable now. Understanding had been reached. Boundaries set. A strange partnership formed out of necessity and something else neither wanted to name. I really should go, Lauren said finally. You really should, Sebastian agreed, but still didn't let go. Lauren made the decision for both of them, gently extracting her hand. Good night, Sebastian. Good morning, technically, he said, glancing at his watch. It's almost 4. Then good morning. She opened the car door. Don't sit out here all day. Please. Marcus takes over at 6. 2 hours of sleep isn't enough. I've functioned on less. Lauren paused halfway out of the car. Sebastian? Yes? Thank you. For caring. Even if it's complicated and messy and driven by guilt about the past? Thank you. Something softened in his expression. You're welcome. Lauren walked back to her building, very aware of his eyes following her. She let herself in and climbed the stairs, mind spinning with everything that had happened. When she reached her apartment window, she looked down. The car was still there. Sebastian a shadow in the back seat. Watching. Protecting. Obsessive in his need to keep her safe. It should have felt creepy. Should have sent her running. Instead, it felt like the strangest kind of care she'd ever received. Lauren pulled out the phone Sebastian had given her and typed a text. I'm inside. Go home. His response came immediately. Soon. She smiled despite herself and went to her bedroom. As she climbed into bed, she looked at the 2 phones on her nightstand. Her normal life in one. This new, dangerous, complicated situation in the other. She should choose her normal life. Should throw that second phone away and never look back. But Lauren knew she wouldn't. Because somewhere in the last 7 hours between violence and protection, between fear and safety, between danger and care, something had shifted. She'd met a man who could stop armed robbery with words. Who sat outside her apartment all night to keep her safe. Who was trying to save her because he couldn't save someone else. Who was powerful and lonely and dangerous and somehow more human than most people she knew. And against all logic, all reason, all common sense. She wanted to know him better. Wanted to understand the man beneath the reputation. Wanted to see if someone who lived in darkness could find a little light. It was insane. It was dangerous. And as Lauren finally drifted off to sleep with the sunrise painting her room gold, she realized she was okay with that. In the space between danger and safety, between power and vulnerability, Lauren discovered something unexpected. The most dangerous man in the city was also the loneliest. And Mafia boss Sebastian, who could end violence with just his voice, found something he'd stopped looking for years ago, someone who saw past the reputation to the person underneath. Sometimes protection comes from the darkest places. And sometimes, that's exactly where you need it.